Hi, I'm Nikita,
And I'm Moses.
and you're tuned in to my prerogative podcast. And this morning we will be talking about the representative. So, Moses, are we clear on what the representative is?
Yes,
What's the
I,
representative in your version, in your words?
uh, your first date amicable version of yourself that, like, when you first meet someone, I've always thought this. You're always like you're like you, but you're like you with like
Without
the
any flaws?
weirdness. Not without any flaws. They're just toned down. Like my weirdness gets toned down. It's like, hey, it's just me, normal fucking Moses. Then you meet me. It's like then you get to know me. Like this guy's a weirdo.
Now, do you think it's like a watered down version of yourself, or do you think it's a more grander, like what you would want to be, but you're not really there yet?
Ah, that's interesting because it's interesting you put it that way because I guess people can approach it from different directions.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I thought of it as like I'm very toned down when you get to know me, and I get bigger as you keep as like you keep.
Why do you tone down?
Because I don't know, I could be a weird person where it's like, oh, I don't want to bring all that someone just getting to know me.
Hmm.
Let me rope them in first, and then throw it on them all at once. Like, wait, this guy's.
Clearly, everything that you just said is the problem with the representative. Like, like everything you just said is like my
Let me
issue with the
rope
representative.
let me rope them
Let
in and
me,
like
right. It's kind of
let me
like,
rope.
yeah, like when you made me think about like a stalker or,
Wow,
like
I
somebody weird that's like, somebody who have like obsession disorders and things like that, like where it's like, okay, I'm going to tone myself way down because I don't want you to see how needy and weird I can get. But
I feel like you're taking what I'm saying and spitting it in a totally different.
I
Like, whoa,
am.
whoa,
I just
whoa.
watched that series on Netflix, the Stalker. I am a stalker, and it was so
Oh,
weird because yeah, like the stories always started the same, where it's like they meet this person, and like this person is like this loving, caring person, but
hmm,
then it's like and it becomes an obsession, or they become too needy, and when the person try to like let go or create some
hmm.
distance, like the person turns into like something else, like who they really are. So
I mean, I'm not like that. For me, it's more. For me, it's born out of inside. I'm naturally a pretty shy person. So when I get to meet someone, I'm always going to be quieter than when I really get to know them. So like it's not like hey, got her.
mm,
It's more like I don't know how to act. I'm just gonna be a little more timid and quiet. It just makes me feel more comfortable and like because like getting first dates, getting to know someone. Oh my god, it can be such a stressful and an awkward experience where it's like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I say?
it's just
Like
like a job interview. It's like how a
exactly,
job interview, that job that you really, really want to get to.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah. And I think too, I think it goes beyond the first date though, to be honest. Like I think
Yeah.
people send their representatives until they can't keep up with that lie or that
Hmm.
version of themselves anymore. And so at that point, when feelings are already starting to become established, then you may not call me as much, or you may not do certain things that your representative would have, and the things that I kind of like fell in love with. And I think that that
Hmm.
is the reason why people stay in situations longer than they should, because they stick to that representative, and they like, okay, I'm waiting for this representative to show back up, when a
Hmm.
person is clearly like, this is really who I am. And they just, people is like, no, I want to believe the higher version of yourself. And it's like, it's
I
impossible.
think I think there was like a piece of dating advice I heard a long time ago. I don't remember where, but like 6 months into getting to know someone is when I guess you say the representative starts to go away for a lot of like in at least like a relationship or a friend like friendship relationship. Like 6 months in is when it's like, okay, I was acting a certain way to like be more, I guess, presentable. But like 6 months in, it's like we're both just in the cycle of it. Like, okay, this is like who we both kind of really are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense. So, what are some of the things that you can think of? I don't know how many people you've dated and they've, sent this representative version of themselves, this higher version of themselves that wasn't really them. I mean, it's a part of them, but it's not really the essence of who they are. Like, what are some of the things that you've noticed that people kind of start to let go of and not be able to kind of like uphold, like in the relationships that you've been in?
So I think there's two levels to this, in terms of my experience. One is like if this conversation goes to an even higher level when you live with someone, because that like goes even deeper. But in terms of like relationships where you haven't moved in together, I'm trying to think because it's
I
interesting to
I
go.
know
It's interesting.
for
Okay.
me, since while you thinking
Mm,
about it,
mm,
it's the attentiveness. It's
mm,
like when I first meet somebody and we're vibing, like I think as we start to get more comfortable with each other, like their level of attentiveness starts to kind of diminish
mm.
or decrease. Um, and then like I don't know, I want to say not the enthusiasm, but to the enthusiasm. Not saying the enthusiasm as far as like this is a new relationship, but maybe like this person was like hella optimistic and hella enthusiastic, just like by nature. I thought like this
Mm.
is a positive, upbeat person, and the more I've started to be around this person, and more comfortable they got around me, then they started to be more pessimistic or less
Mm.
enthusiastic where it's like, ugh, like you again.
I think
Or
it's
just like
definitely,
attitude towards life. Go ahead.
yeah. I think it's definitely an issue if it's like I think the whole representative thing is a bad thing if it like if it's drastically different or the opposite of like the way you actually are, then I think it could be like oh my god, like you were like a whole different person. You know what I mean? Like if you're optimistic, then you just become totally pessimistic. Yeah, that's like a jarring right turn. It's like oh wow, and they're gonna be that way.
Now, do you think the older Moses, because Moses just had a birthday, everybody, but older Moses, do you think you still bring your representative? Do you think the representative version of yourself when you first get to know someone ever really goes away? Like, what do you think?
Mm, no, because it's a side of myself, so I don't think it ever really goes away. Because depending on who I'm with, especially like I guess like the first time, I never know. I don't have like a set representative that's going to come out. I'll probably always be a little bit shy on the inside, but what I outwardly do, like am I funny, am I weird, like that sort of thing. That's more natural and spontaneous. So I wouldn't say that ever goes away. More just gets added onto it over time. It's like, hey, like I'm also about this and this and this, but like I'll always be a goofy, shy, happy-go-lucky kind of like that'll never stop.
Okay. And
Younger Moses, maybe you have to
now,
figure all this stuff out.
do you think that there are any pros to sending a representative?
Yes.
Okay, explain.
I mean, I think it's how do I want to put this? It's I guess it feels easier to manage the situation, I guess, if that makes sense. If like if you have like this version of yourself that you think is like amicable, it's like okay, I'm gonna like be safe in this and like, try to feel out the scenario rather than like I don't know, just it takes a lot of a lot of courage to just be yourself and like whatever comes at you comes at you. That can be really hard. And so like to have at least some type of order to it all, I could see how it's like, hey, like going to a job interview, I'm not gonna say just whatever. I'm gonna have like a version of myself that's like, hey, how you doing? It's me, Moses. Oh yeah. Oh what? I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense, but when you talk about like I mean, it takes courage to be yourself. Like, I totally agree with that. But it
Mm,
also takes like a level of like acceptance, I think. So when you
mm,
begin to accept yourself, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, flaws and
mm,
all, then I think that it takes less courage to be yourself and it's more natural. So I think you only have to really have courage to be yourself when you don't fully accept yourself and love yourself. Because, like, for me, even in a job interview, and I was actually just speaking to one of my coworkers about this not too long
mm,
ago, where I was like, damn, somebody that we hired recently, like, she's different than in the interview. And she was like, well, everybody lies in interviews. And I'm like, damn, I don't lie anymore in interviews because I know
mm,
I have, like, I'm at a certain period of my life where I have the skill set. I know what I can bring to the table. I've had the experiences where I can learn and I can, be put in different, working dynamics and learn from it and even personal too. Right. And so like when I go on an interview now, it's like the basic and the preferred qualifications, like I meet all of those. So there's no need to bring really a representative. Like I am going to
mm.
show my personality. I am going to, talk about some of my failures as well as my success. So, I mean, I understand I understand what you mean by like, it does take courage to be yourself, but I think the more you accept yourself and you embrace who you are, like that representative goes away and you no longer need that person. And I
I don't
think
know, because I still think because I think it could still be argued that you still have a representative in that scenario though, because there would be certain things you wouldn't bring up in that situation though.
true.
Like there are certain aspects of
So
your
when you
true self.
omit, like that's is that like bringing a like everything that I say and everything that I'm bringing to the table when I initially meet somebody, it is who I am. Like I don't see it changing, and I think what you're talking about is more vulnerability, or no?
Maybe because like I still think of it as like I can see that being a representative because like okay like I am a super let's say if I'm like a super goofy person, I think I wouldn't be as goofy when I meet someone the first time as I would be down the road. So there would be like a level of like, hey, I'm not gonna be like there is like a certain like curtailing of certain things when you first meet someone because you have no idea what this person's all about either. It's like, oh, I gotta figure out their vibe. They need to kind of figure out mine. It's like, so I think even then there's always like a version of yourself that you are bringing to like a first date or a job interview. That's not like the full extent of like yourself.
Yeah, I get that. So I get what you mean by an exaggeration, right? So,
Mm,
maybe I am this goofy person, this is who I am. But, as we continue to get to know each other, then it'll be embellished, right? Like, but that's still who you are. I think a
yeah.
representative is like a lie almost. Like it's like something that you want to be, but you
Mm.
are not that thing yet, that person yet, but you're putting on this front to get to kind of reel somebody in, like you said before.
Nikita,
Um,
I'm getting the vibe that you've had a bad experience with some representative because
no, because
I feel like there's something we need to dig deeper into
I
here.
think, no, because I think like when people bring their representative and then as you slowly get to know someone, I think what you're saying about like being super goofy, you're still goofy on the date. But as you get to know somebody, you're like super goofy. That's still goofy. I
Mm.
think with a representative, I think, like I said, they would be more attentive. And then as we kind of progress and they kind of get used to me, then it's less attentive. So, or it's obsolete. Like that's not even who they were. They just did it to kind of reel me in.
So I think maybe we should like I think we should separate the two versions of it. Like maybe there's like a positive representative and a negative one.
Okay.
Because in that description, because like I think I'm thinking about like just like, oh no, this is a cool way to think about it, I guess. I'm thinking about a positive representative where like maybe I still have like the certain traits, but they just grow over time. So it's positive. It's a positive gain.
Hmm.
Whereas like
Right.
a negative representative, they show certain traits and over time they go down. So like I would say
Right.
because I
Okay.
agree
Yeah.
with you that I agree with you what you're saying. So it's like, oh, maybe we should separate. There's a positive representative and a negative one. Negative representative is like a bad guy. Like he's,
Not necessarily, I won't even say a bad guy. It's just someone who
well, he does it on
maybe
purpose.
they've hurt, like, when you come from one relationship to another, like, there are certain things in that relationship that you take, that you keep, right? So if
Hmm.
someone pointed out, like, oh, I need you to be more of this, or, oh, they point out flaws in you, then some people try to hide those flaws when they enter into the next relationship because based on what they've just come from or something that they've dealt with in the past, someone told them that this was a negative trait or a negative characteristic, and so they try to
Yeah.
hide that version and like do the opposite, if
Mm.
that makes sense.
I mean that makes sense, but that makes sense. I guess I agree that that's not a bad. That doesn't make anyone a bad person. That's just life.
No,
uh,
I don't think that it's bad. I honestly
yeah,
don't.
it's
Like,
not
I
bad.
feel bad for people who have to hide behind a representative because, in actuality, like, there's someone for everybody.
Hmm.
And so I don't think that you should ever have to kind of send a different version of yourself when really it's not an aspect of yourself that you resonate with daily or routinely in order to please somebody because it's hard as hell to keep that shit going
Yeah.
if it's not natural. So I completely agree when you said positive and negative like kind of aspects of representatives. And I think what you're saying is not really a representative, but it's more like a more, you know, toned down.
That's a representative.
Or okay, so okay, besides being goofy, like what are some other positive representatives or,
For
yeah,
me,
positive representative. No, just in general or for you. Yeah, for you.
or just in general, like maybe, let's see. I guess I'll use me, maybe. Or no, I can think of some objective examples. Like, maybe like if you're goofier, like if you're maybe you are talkative and you get more talkative as time goes on, things like that. Like,
If you're talkative and you become more talkative, like then
I,
you're still talkative though. So that's
you
not
are.
really a representative, I feel
It
like.
is though, because you brought a more amicable version of that trait.
I mean,
It's
but you
still,
still talk. Like I could
yeah.
tell just by dating you that oh shit, he's a talker. Or damn, he's goofy as hell.
But then at
And I think
then,
naturally, because I'm around you more, because you have to think about it. When you're on a date, you're only with this person for a limited amount of time.
mhm.
So there's only so much goofiness and talking that you can really do.
Exactly. So you bring down a tailor-made version of all those things. That hey, I'm not gonna go to top tier Moses Goofy. Let's bring the socially acceptable first date level of Moses Goofy. That's a representative. That's a tailor-made choice you make in your head.
Okay. Okay. I think maybe another representative is maybe someone who wants to eat healthy or like live a healthy lifestyle, like they genuinely want
Mm,
to, but they struggle with it, and their partner, like you may put it on your dating profile, like oh I love to work out, or like maybe show a picture of you in a gym, and then somebody say oh
mm.
shit, you love to work out, I love to work out, and you guys kind of like bond over that, but in time it's like shit, I don't really like fucking working out.
Wait.
So
Okay. Wait. Like you. So they like working out. You say you like working out, but then like you discover you don't like working out, or you just never
No,
did to begin with.
no. So you were trying to live a
Mm,
more healthier lifestyle. And that is
yeah,
the kind of like the phase in your life where they kind of met you. They came into your life and it's like, oh shit, you like working out? I love working out. And y'all bond over, this healthy
working out.
living. And yeah,
Uh,
and then it's like, shit, I really don't like working out. Like I was trying to, be more healthier, but shit, I want to fucking eat cheeseburgers. And then now it's just like, you know, so I mean, just little things like that. I feel like,
I feel like this is a funny conversation. I think the whole vibe, I think the vibe of it is funny because I like how we consistently come at this from
I
different
know,
angles.
right? I know.
Yours, yours almost like just sounds like, what if a motherfucker just lies the first thing?
I mean, but that's really what it is, though. It's a lie. It's a more refined version of yourself that you may ultimately want to get to, or you may not. You just may have learned like, shit, this is what women like, or based on like the conversation, you're just agreeing with me, but really that ain't who you are. And then like, we continue to date, and then like now feelings are involved and emotions are like entangled, and now you fucking slap the shit out of me. It's
That took a turn.
look, that would be like,
escalated.
that would be the face that you would really make if somebody slapped you.
Right? I would say that same thing. This escalated quickly. This really escalated.
No, but I think that it's really
You
important
verbally
to be.
slapped me just now.
I think it's really important to be aware of like this term and like how it could show up in your life, because like when I think it's Maya Angelou, I think she said it best when she said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And I think like we fail to do that because of this represented version that somebody kind of showed up with and led with. And so you fall in love with that potential, but that's not really the person. And I think that like that's what makes it so hard for people to get out of relationships that no longer serves them, because they're waiting for this representative to show back up. And in reality, like this motherfucker is gone. Like he doesn't exist.
He was never real. Gotcha.
It's never real. So that's what I
Gotcha.
mean by like a representative. That's what I'm saying. Like
Okay.
when you're saying like the pros, like, oh, I'm goofy, that's still who you are. You may just be
Right.
overly goofy. So yeah.
I'm gonna switch to your side. Let's talk about the negative. I'm gonna leave the positive side alone. I'll join you.
Whatever. Like I'm not
join you.
negative Nancy.
I'm gonna join you on the negative side because I feel like I'm gonna progress the conversation. I'm gonna hop across the line and say, okay.
Okay, so let's talk about the negative representatives.
Why'd you look so ready? Like, oh, finally.
Because I'm about to ask you a question. Like, why do you think people are afraid to show their true selves? Like, why do you think it's even necessary to bring a representative? And then I'm going to go back to the question that I asked you before when you just thinking about, oh, goofy and talkative. Like, do you think that you personally will ever be able to show up without your representative and show up as your true, authentic self?
Like the first time I meet someone?
Mm-hmm. Or do you already?
No, I don't.
Oh
But
my
that's the
God,
thing.
I'm loving the honesty here.
Well, like, because I view it from, because like, now we're back to because I'm viewing it from a different way. I'm not like being not myself. I'm just being a
watered
toned down
version.
version of myself.
Right.
Because when I go on a first date, being a shy person, someone who had to learn social skills.
Moses, you ain't. Oh, you talking about when you were younger? You were shy. I was supposed to say you ain't fucking shy, bro.
No,
Okay, because the shy version of Moses is dead. R.I.P. I've never seen the shy version of you ever.
The shy version of me always exists. It's the
Get
natural.
the fuck out of here! You were like so talkative on the trail.
Yeah, Because I like you. I was a very different person before I worked in the studio. Like me learning how to be outgoing and extrovert was a learned process because it wasn't who I naturally was. Naturally, I'm a very quiet, shy person. I just was always growing up put in situations progressively over time where I had to learn how to be outgoing and be like a people person. So like looking at it from that way, like when I go on first dates, especially, and I had like first dates, like let's say of a dating app where you never really met this person in person before. For me, yeah, it's a very like uh I wouldn't say stressful. It's not stressful anymore, but like it's a very like interesting experience for me because like my internal natural self is like I'm very quiet, and being quiet on a first date is like not what you want to do. So it's like okay, I have to like show who I am on the inside, but like I don't want to be like too weird. So I had to like try to find the right level of like Moses weirdness and goofiness that I'm going to bring. Like okay, now I don't like curate everything. It's just kind of like the general tone and vibe of like okay, I'll be myself, but I'm not going to go too off. Because it keeps me from getting nervous and like, oh my God, becoming a wreck. It's very weird
To be honest,
to.
I'm learning so much about you that I didn't know at first.
Really?
Hold up. Yeah, I didn't know this about you. I would have never known that you were shy or anything of the sort.
You know what? That's true. Whenever I say it all the time, like on my streams and stuff, no one ever believes me. Like, you're not shy, Moses. Look at you. It's like, that's the outward. You don't know what's happening inside.
Yeah, I
Inside
would have.
Moses is incredibly shy. His natural state is being quiet.
Okay. Okay, so basically, are you saying that you had to create this version of yourself in order to navigate through society?
Uh, yeah,
Or do you
yeah.
think that this version that you've created is like who you
So
really
that's
are
actually,
at your essence?
you want to know something? This is a philosophical question I've asked myself many times before. Is like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Because I guess the interesting thing when I think about my past is like first grade, like let's just say like from Moses' inception up until high school, freshman year of high school. I didn't really have any friends, so it was just me. I had my little brother is like 9 years younger than me, so he came pretty late into the Moses development game. So it was just the Moses show for
I
a very
love how
long.
you I love how you talk about yourself, but go ahead.
He came pretty late in the game, so it was the Moses show solo adventure for a long time. And so, like like I got made fun of a lot, bullied a lot as a kid as well. So it was really a very, I grew up a very isolated kid. My parents were very serious, so like they weren't like super duper nurturing, and so really it was truly just me. And so I've asked myself like, being an only child, I was weird and like on my own. Like when I had to learn how to play by myself. Like I was weird, I was goofy, like in my room playing make believe. My imagination went wild. So I always wondered like which of the two versions of myself is like the real natural one of me, where it's like, am I naturally shy or was I shy because like I didn't have anyone to interact with, or am I naturally extroverted and super goofy, but I feel like I created that persona well into my life. Like the age of 13 is when I started like actively practicing talking to other people, being extroverted, like being a people person. So I've grappled with this question a lot. Like, oh, I don't know which one
Really? That's
is.
interesting. So you
Oh,
have
'cause-
some self-discovery to do because I think my life was a little bit opposite of that.
hmm,
So when I was younger, I have 5 siblings, and we're really
Mm.
close in age. So it was a lot of us. I had a lot of people to kind of socialize and kind of bounce ideas off of, play with, just all of that as a kid, right?
Mm.
Compete with, just everything. And then, I had a lot of friends. They had a lot of friends. We are around the same age, so I knew a lot of people. So, you can say I was popular. And, as
You could say.
I as I got older, I was a lot skinnier, and so I became insecure
Mm.
because being skinny was just not attractive. And so I started to make myself be more introverted so I can isolate myself
Mm.
and kind of be okay with it. Just, okay, this is who I am. I don't like people, but really, like, I was, you know, afraid of people because of how I felt like they were judging me. And so I
Mm.
created this version, this introverted version of myself for many years. I want to say like until maybe my teenage years, all the way into like my 30s. Created this version of myself because, it was just kind of like my way to protect myself.
Mm.
And I just woke up kind of around your age and was like, I don't even recognize myself because
Mm.
like the person that I created and who I identify with, I thought that this is who I was. It just, it just gotten so bad. It gotten to the point where I was like, couldn't really make a decision. I really wouldn't speak up for myself. And that was just like so different than like who I
Mm.
was. But I kind of like needed that person to kind of protect me
Mm.
and make me feel, normal safe. But yeah, so it was kind of like the opposite.
Yeah, because I had a similar experience too. I guess completely opposite, where like growing up, kids would often call me ugly, and since I didn't have any friends to like reassure, like that really did sit with me for a long time, and that's what led into. So for like for years, I had to like slowly deconstruct that as I started to grow older, like as a teenager, and that took a long time, honestly. Even pieces of that still exist today,
Mm.
because like it's the whole nature versus nurture thing. Like it's hard to put one over the other because like it's hard to identify what's your true nature versus like how is the environment you grew up in also affect you. So it's hard to separate the two. Like I truly don't know.
100%. And I think the more you start asking yourself those questions and the more you start to
Mm.
explore it, you'll figure it out. I was
Yeah.
probably your age when I was like, damn, like who the fuck am I? So I think, you're perfectly on the right, on the right track, right where you need to be. But let's go back to the topic at hand. So
Yeah.
just like thinking about that and like how how we both like created these different versions of ourselves in order to cope and navigate through life. Like, I think what you said earlier, where everyone, it's normal to send a representative because
Mm.
you always want to put your best foot forward. And I was like, well, I used to, but now I don't feel the need to. I think it's like that knowingness and that acceptance and that trusting of like who you are. And until you get to that point and you can kind of stand up unapologetically, say this is who I am,
Mm.
then I think that you will always send a representative because you don't really know who you are.
I guess I get I can see what you're saying. I think I might view it like a little bit differently, but I can
How
agree
so?
with that.
How so?
Uh, I guess like for me, I don't see seeing a representative as like necessarily like a bad thing
Hmm.
or like something that I think there is a I think there is a healthy degree to to doing that, if that makes sense. I don't think there's a certain extent where like it's not necessarily a bad thing to do.
I mean, I wouldn't say
'Cause,
that it's all bad. All I'm
mm,
saying is if you have to go outside of yourself in order to reel someone in or to, kind of paint a better version of yourself to get people to stay, and you can't just unapologetically show up and this is who I am, and you don't have to hide behind a representative, then I do think that it's not the best feeling for me. I think it's levels to it. So some people show up as somebody completely different of who they're not. And like you said, other people show up as watered down versions of themselves. But
I think that's like, so I think it goes back to the positive versus negative, where it's like, if you show up as a completely different person, like a completely opposite version of like who you are, like it's a total act or something. I think that's like, yeah, if you're going in that territory of like, I'm going to act this way, this way, this way, and that's like the opposite of these three things about me. It's like, oh, well, that's literally trying to reel someone in. For me, it's like I am ABC. I'm uppercase ABC. I'm going to maybe just lowercase ABC on the first date just to feel it out. Like,
I mean, yeah. And even if it's just the first date and you're kind of alluding to who you are, basically lowercase, goofy, or however you want to put it. And then, as you spend more time with them, like, oh, damn, Moses, you goofy. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily like a representative, but I can kind of see what you mean by saying that that's a representative. I guess I view it a little bit differently.
I'll give it a different word. That's my ambassador. That's Ambassador Moses.
That's ambassador.
He's representing the nation. Yeah. The first date is you visiting the embassy. Ambassador Moses comes to greet you. Hello, this is what our country's all about. If you want to apply for citizenship, we can get the process. Actually, wait, this is a great example. You want to apply for citizenship, we can get the process started.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess one could say that lowercase versions of ourselves are representatives, but I think that if that's who you are, and it's not like, because I don't know, like I think about, maybe if I like to eat and I eat really fast, but I'm like on a first date and I'm not eating as fast as I normally eat, but that could be because of nerves, like I'm nervous, or, I eat all my food, but I don't like not even chew it. I just swallow it. Like, I don't know. Like, I think when I think of representative, I think of somebody opposite of who you are. Not, I'm showing up as who I am, but not to the extent of what it could look like. But still, this is who I am. I don't think about that as being a representative.
But it could be.
It could be.
I see what you mean. Because I eat really fast, but like usually when I'm on dates, I don't eat really fast. And that's not because I'm actively doing it. Usually it's just because I'm talking. Usually if I
it could be factors as to why. Like, you would crack jokes when you're on a date, but you're not going to be like a fucking clown because you're in a restaurant. Like, you're...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so I think now we're moving into like the positive side of it, where it's like, yeah, there's a certain... There are other factors besides like a conscious effort. Like, hey, I'm in a restaurant, never met you. Like, I'm not going to be like too crazy. Even though... Versus like, Moses... Look at Moses, the first trail, the first time we went on the trail versus now, and it's like, Moses, you turned it up a notch. Like, that's right. Turned it up.
Nah, you fucking did. Like, for real. Like, what are you
I was
running?
Lowercase.
Are you running already? Like, what the fuck?
So when you first took me to the trail, I was lowercase a. Now I'm capital A written in cursive. Like, not just cursive, like calligraphy.
I'm trying to Google, like, what the real definition would be. There's not even, like, it's not even on Google because it's not even a thing yet.
So we can make it. We can patent it right now.
There we go.
Patent
put it on.
Like,
we can put it on. We can put it on Wikipedia.
Exactly. Like, whoa. Those are the representative guys. Like, that's right.
There's a uppercase and a lowercase reference.
We're ahead of the curve. We're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So,
I'm uppercase calligraphy right now. Uppercase calligraphy A. When I'm on the trail, it's like Moses, trailblazer, trailblazer.
trailblazer. So, I guess, can you tell us about like an experience you've had where you've dated someone and as you've gotten to know them, like they turn into a completely different person?
So this example is like extreme because there's levels to this as well. When you move in with someone, this gets kicked up like 2 notches. Because like if there's a first date representative, then like there's relationship level. There's a whole other level when like you guys live in the same place where it's like you see there's no more representatives for anything.
There's nowhere to hide.
There's no more. Any semblance of like toning anything down is all out the window when you move in because it's like I see you all the time. So if you really want to, it's so weird because like it's almost like you don't truly know that person, like really, really know them until you move in. Like until it gets to that point, that's when like any veil that was left is gone.
I mean, even you can even say that like with makeup and shit and like hair extensions and
everything.
Yeah,
like,
it's like you're completely naked.
Levels.
Yeah.
Like relationship level, that's not the top, that's the middle. Moving in, that's like where it's like, so this is what you're like all the time. Like, yep. Because think about it, when you're in a relationship, you both still go to different places. You both still go to your own home, so you can still kind of like have that best version firing on all cylinders all the time. But when you live together, it's like, nah. Some point we both gotta just like, hey, let's just let's see what you got. All right, let's see what you got. Like you're kind of So I've had that experience, but I was saying it's cheating because like I moved in with her probably way too soon than we should have, and I felt like she was a totally different person than what I thought because like I learned that there was an even higher level than what I thought. It's like, oh, like we're in a relationship. I feel like I know her, like, but then I learned like no, like when the I don't want to say it like that, like this, but like when the spotlights are always on each other, that's when like everything's revealed. It's like, okay, I really know you now because like there's no, hey, see you tomorrow, see you tomorrow. It's like, all right, let's go home.
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense because it's like when we're only in a relationship, I can, if I'm in a mood, like I have that time to like be before I meet up with you or before you come over. Like I have that time to get, and then as you're on your way, like, oh, I'm on my way out the door. Like I can start putting on my representative. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, even what you're saying,
let me
like,
clean up. Let me
exactly
put everything together.
Like,
let me flush the toilet.
Exactly. Like you can get everything ready. Like, and that I underestimated how much that changes everything. That one distinction of like, instead of like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, you can go home and like
take everything off. Yeah.
Like just sit in your space. Like, oh my God. Except then it's different when you're like, all right, let's go home together. And like, if something's wrong before in that relationship level and you just go home afterwards, it's like, oh my God, it's still here. It's never gone.
I can't get away.
There's no getting away anymore. So you get to really see, you get to really figure out how you two figure stuff out, how you guys mesh. Who is this person really? Like, do you leave the milk out or something? Like, oh my God. And it's like, well, that's not a big deal. You'd be surprised.
Like, no, because when we were dating, I came over here, your milk was always in the fridge. That is so
Oh,
true. Yes, that
like
is
my
so true.
God, I before I moved in with her, I thought to myself, I would never get so mad over like something small or little. You know what I mean? It's like,
That's your representative, though.
but like it's my representative, but
Your
also I didn't have the.
representative of always being able to deal, right?
But that's the
Like,
thing. It's like it was inexperienced too. It wasn't necessarily my representative. I also had no
mm,
basis to base it off of until I was in it, and now I know it's like okay, I felt it now. It's the weirdest feeling of like, oh my God, she left. She didn't put my toothbrush back in. She moved my toothbrush. Ah! I felt so stupid. You feel so dumb being mad for like the next few hours. Like,
but
why am I so mad?
yeah.
That's my stuff. That's my stuff. That's my stuff.
Well, that makes sense then. Like that we would always have a like you would always send a representative until you have nowhere to hide.
Nowhere left to run. then
So in essence, like everyone knows your representative, only your representative, a representative version of yourself, except those closest to you, like your children, your
yeah.
spouse, your family, and even your family. Like
No,
even your family, even
yeah,
your
they get it
family,
too.
they get the representative too. Because even
Yeah.
like when my siblings, like, hey, I'm gonna come over and do whatever. Like I start cleaning up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So we got a level deeper because like
we
everyone still has
do,
a
we
representative.
do. Yeah, you're right. You're
Like
right.
even well past
I
the first
think,
date, we all
yeah,
still got it.
yeah, because I'm thinking like personality, like my character. This is who
Mm,
I am. But it even goes beyond that with just like your tendencies or,
that's
just
it.
like, yeah, just those little fucking idiosyncrasies that no one else really knows. But
Like maybe even you don't know because like when someone lives, even like things you don't think about, get put under a microscope where it's like, why did you do that, Moses? Like, do what? I don't know. Is this a problem? I know that no one's ever said this shit to me.
that is
And
so true.
that's how married couples have the weirdest fights sometimes, where it's like, why do you do that? Hmm? It's like that little thing
Do
gets
you
under
think
my skin.
do you think that's the reason we send representatives because of the judgment that we face? Um, those that are subtle and just in your face, like those, why do
Hey,
you do
probably.
this? And you can't really explain it because it's just like second nature to you, but somebody else is saying that it's a problem or hinting towards that it being a problem. And so you try to like cover that up for everyone
I mean, I think
else.
that's. I would say that's like probably like the majority of why like a lot of people like are hesitant to be vulnerable is like
Bro,
I think that goes hand in hand, right? Judgment is like the one of the biggest reasons like a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable. So like I
are,
would say yeah.
are you hearing like what we just got to? Like, I think that we just kind of got through another breakthrough because that means that we've been creating this represented version of ourselves from birth.
I mean yeah, because like it's the societal pressures, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone's we're always being judged, being critiqued, and like at some point you're like, well, I don't like the feeling of being judged or being critiqued. I'll try
Right.
to avoid it
Yeah.
or try to like fix it. So like yeah, I guess like in a sense we're always like trying to put on like a amicable version of ourselves out, at least into society. And that's why when we go home, that's when the veil is gone, the
The
true self is
mask
out.
is,
Like
yeah, you
it's like
rip the
I'm home.
mask off.
This is my space. This is my safe spot. I can do and be whatever I want to be. Which is why when you move in with someone, it's such a big deal because like this is my safe place. What are you doing here?
Don't you come
Like
fuck it
out of here.
up.
Like you want to wait. Think about it. That's why relationships are such a big deal. We're combining safe spaces. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, I'm willing to let you be a part of my safe space, and like, hey, I'll be a part of yours. I hope you're cool being that level of vulnerable with me around. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a big deal. I
That's a
should have
big
thought
deal.
about that when I was 23.
I've never
23.
lived with someone.
I've
Never.
only done it once.
I've never done it. So, which means that I'll have to have that first time experience soon in the future because I'm meeting someone really soon. And yeah, you just kind of
You're
scared me
meeting
a little
someone
bit.
soon?
I am. I'm going to be in a relationship really soon.
Oh, like you're willing it into the universe?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's going to happen. I can feel it. It's coming.
Okay,
But,
all right. Ooh.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, Moses, you may be with somebody really soon. I'm just kidding.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been feeling it too. Like, it's coming. I have a different reaction to it than you. It's like, for me, it's like, I smell it. It's coming. The universe is like, you're up, Moses. You're up.
You gotta put the boxing gloves up.
You've been out of the game too long.
Oh my gosh.
So you can run? Not on the trail.
I forget what we were talking about. Oh,
well, yeah, it's
yeah. So
it's definitely. I think you would do. I think you would do way better than me the first time because, like, we're more mature people. It's like, oh, we've been around. We know how to handle. 23-year-old Moses had no clue. Yeah, that motherfucker had no clue.
No, because I've never lived with someone else. So just imagine like my system and my routine and somebody that kind of integrate that with is really challenging.
Integrate, gotta change it just a little bit. That's what gets you. That's the face. Like, I don't know about that, Moses. I'm not changing anything.
Okay, so to wrap it up, I'm gonna come back and ask you this question again. Do you feel like you could ever get past your representative?
Get past? Like not needed anymore.
Yeah, like Moses will just emerge and
Yeah. I had to be. I think I'm pretty much, for the most part, like that now. Like, I know I say I tone myself down, but I still feel like I go into like a first encounter, first meeting as like my authentic self.
I think so, because how I met you, you were 1,000% Moses. You were in Moses's element, and like it's never really changed. So
yeah, that's just me.
It's just you.
I think if I was like really professional and quiet and like, hello, my name is Moses, nice to meet you. Then that'd be my.
That would be a representative.
Yeah, that wouldn't be me
for sure. Yeah. So, all right.
But yes, I have a 401k. I like to drink fancy wine, build model ships.
I'm building my
taxes.
portfolio and my pension.
Yeah. Have you heard about NFTs?
I've just invested in the S&P.
Yeah. Do you like my suit? Armani.
Do you want to get out of here and take a trip on my private jet?
I think if I had the money, I would do that just for grins and giggles, though. If I had the money, I would do it for fun.
So one day, you'll let that version, okay. Because it's in you.
One day I'll just turn into Drake or something.
Oh, Drake? I don't think Drake would be like that. One day you should turn into Idris Elba.
That's a given. That's my future self.
Oh, okay. So that would be a representative. Okay.
Yeah, that's just me.
Okay.
Idris Elba is just the future version of me.
Okay, one day turn into LeBron James.
Maybe. I'd rather be Idris Elba. He's cooler.
Well, that wouldn't be a representative, though.
Oh, okay. I don't think LeBron James is cool. Is he cool?
Okay. One day turn into Lil Wayne.
That would be a extreme representative.
That would be extreme. Yes.
I wonder if I could pull that off if someone would actually believe me. Is this guy really like this? Like, I don't know. You
Don't
know
think you
what?
could.
I want to try that just because that sounds like a challenge. I want to try that out. Like, who is this? This is Lil Wayne Moses. This is
We
Lil Wayne version of me.
WCF baby. Please say the baby.
Can I even do the voice? I'm not going to try on stream.
Please
I
don't.
want to I want to practice first. I'm
All
actually really
right.
good at voices.
I know. I remember
That
on
just
my
shows revealing a lot
birthday
of things.
when we were listening to that one song, Then Leave, and that
Wait,
dude, oh my God, you sounded just like him. I was like, what the fuck?
that's a
Moses?
this isn't a representative, but there actually are
Alter
five
egos?
different five different Moses voices that come out in different
Oh yeah, you told me
scenarios.
that. Yeah, you did tell me that. That's just Moses. All
I
right,
don't do
so
it consciously. It's
let's
like
wrap
there
up.
are multiple voices. Yeah, I gotta go soon.
All right, so just to wrap things up, be aware of people's representatives when they start to show you who they are. Be able to
Liars, snakes.
embrace and accept that version of that person, and know when a representative have left, and maybe if the person who they are doesn't agree and align with who you are, be willing to leave.
Fuck them.
Fuck off.
Fuck those people. Get them out of here. You're
Bye.
better than this. Slay.